So that works, doesn't it? Okay. Well, fortunately my presentation is fairly brief, so hopefully I won't claw back a little bit of time. I've come today to talk about personalisation and what it really means. I'm not going to talk to you about government policy around personalisation. I'm going to workshop later where we'll talk about that. I'm actually going to talk about what it means as an ethos and as a principle and why it matters to all voluntary organisations and the way they work. It's a very familiar term to all of us, but I think it's really important that we can reclaim it and we consider what it means for us as charities and non-profit organisations rather than thinking of it as a government-driven agenda. And what I'm going to do today is going to talk about the history of personalisation, why it has evolved. It is a user-led agenda. I'm in the process of becoming a trustee for a small disability organisation in London. And these are some of the questions that we're actually thinking about. And they're actually quite challenging questions about what it really means to be a user-led organisation and how you genuinely make sure that you're person-centred, because that is ultimately what personalisation means. And as well, I feel like I should say that normally when I do presentations I just kind of speak, but for some reason I decided I would write everything down, so I'm actually going to read it out. So I hope I don't sound like some kind of slightly artificial politician when I do this, so apologies if I do. But personalisation is not just about rhetoric, and it's not just about policy documents, and it's not just about promises that have been made to us, but actually it's about providing support to individuals and communities in a way that is genuinely, inarguably better. It's about being person-centred in what we do and thinking about everything we do from the perspective of the individual, not from our systems-orientated approach as organisations. So we're going to look today at where personalisation comes from. And crucially, it is a user's agenda. It's about civil rights, and it's about equality. It's about life chances and fair opportunities for everybody. And it's also about aspirations, not thinking about people as a problem who turn up at your door, but about aspirations and where they want to go and what they want to achieve. And although many of us have heard about this agenda through government policy documents, through policymakers, through politicians and successive governments now, actually the quality and the care that personalisation entails is something every organisation should strive for, independent of the push from funders, from policymakers, from the local authorities that we're working with. So if we chart the history of personalisation, we start in the independent living movement in North America, in which the principle of personalisation was founded by disabled people campaigning for disability rights. Now the campaigners in the independent living movement held a core belief, and that was that disabled people are the experts in their own care, in what their needs are and how those should be met. We still see the independent living movement very much alive today. In organisations like Centres for Independent Living that you have in each local authority area. And this is a picture of the original manager of the Bryan Services and the executive directors of the first Centre for Independent Living, which was on University of California, Berkeley campus in 1974. So it's not a new idea. Okay. Now, by believing that disabled people shouldn't just be passive recipients of care, they were kind of changing the status quo, whereby the individual receives and the professional is the knower, the person with all the knowledge and all the power to act. Instead, disabled people should be supported to be real experts. And if there are going to be professionals in the picture, actually what Centres for Independent Living do is say, well actually why aren't disabled people those professionals? Why do we need to ship in new people without that fundamental real experience of what the issues are that are being addressed? Now the independent living movement was a very proactive campaign because it's putting disabled people in the driving seats. And it is a civil rights argument. It recognises equal value in everybody, everyone's equal opportunity to contribute. And it was run as a part of the momentum of the civil rights movement in North America, and with equal passion to other parts of the movement. Now, casting forward to where we are now, what does this concept of equality advocated by the independent living movement mean for our organisations? It actually remains a very radical concept in the way that we work. Do we really share equal rights, equal status and equal voice with our service users? Or actually, it's a reality in a lot of voluntary service sector organisations that service users are still done to actually, that we still believe we actually know best. My experience previously working in personalisation at a local level and trying to support groups to transform was there was an assumption that actually we already were personalised. And if any of you think that, well, we all need to question that. We all need to bring our users to the fore to ask that question of us. And it's a challenging thing to do. It's not easy to empower users to criticise us or to be able to articulate exactly what it is that they want from us. But it's really important that we all look to do that. And I'm asking these questions as a genuine point to reflect on. How does equality work across your organisation? Within your governance structures, where are your service users' voice? In the way your services are delivered, how are service users involved in that process? And in the way you assess your impact, how are service users involved? And when you're making decisions, how are they involved to make those decisions and to make sure they're acted upon? Generally, how personalised are voluntary services? Now, the next intertwined principle of the independent living movement was the social model of disability. How many people are familiar with that phrase? Okay, good, quite a few. Well, I hope I managed to articulate it well enough. So what this does, the social model of disability, it challenges the previous orthodoxy, and that is the medical model of disability, where you're putting the onus on the physical impairment. You're saying that is a disabling factor in this person's life. You're seeing that physical impairment and you're going, that is a problem. That person is carrying around this problem with them. They are fundamentally the issue. But actually, if you're a disabled person, if you have an impairment, that impairment is normal to you, it's not abnormal. And actually, from the disabled person's perspective, what is disabling is the way that the world around them reacts to their physical impairment, okay? What is universally disabling to people is the way that we respond to them and the way that we accommodate or fail to accommodate them. What is disabling to the individual person is a prejudiced employer who won't give them a job. It's the building that doesn't have any access. It's the dismissive teacher. It's the bus that drives off rather than let the wheelchair on. It's the lack of genuine inclusion in our society. That's actually what disables somebody on a day-to-day basis, okay? It's not about their physical impairment. It's not their problem. It's actually what the external environment does to that person and how they react to them. So that's what the social model of disability is. It's saying actually we collectively are responsible for creating disabilities. It's not the physical impairment itself. So this gives us a framework for being personalised, because when you employ the social model of disability, you're looking at things from the individual's perspective. You're construing and you're constructing your services from what they experience, not from how you are judging them and what you imagine the problem to be. And similarly, that takes away from the kind of professional sense of turning up at the door going, well, I know what the problem is. Actually, you're saying it's the individual, it's a service user point of view which matters most and must guide everything that we do. Now, the social model of disability and personalisation say it's important that the user is known and understood as an asset. It says that disabled people should be the actors in their care and the force that makes change happen. No longer should there be a split between passive users and active services that determine what happens. And that has to change the way that we approach the way we work with people. Because currently we have a culture and an economy of welfare of defining people by their needs, by their problems, by their deficits. We're working with people because they turn up at their door and we see that they have some aspect of incapability that needs solving, and we're with people to do it. Well, where does that get us if we think like that? What a narrow conception that is of somebody and of their life and of their potential. And if you define people by a weakness or by an absence, how disempowering is that? How limiting is that to your relationship with them and the service and outcomes that you can support them to achieve? So when you work with people, be it your service users, your staff or your volunteers, is your first thought, what can this person do? Or is it, well, what can't they do? It's about seeing the positive. It's about not thinking in the deficit model that we are attuned to when we think of people's problems and needs all of the time. Because the other thing about personalisation is you don't get there without seeing the whole of the individual. And you don't get personalisation if you don't really want to see it. There's no point saying you're personalised. Actually, it totally challenges the way in which we work as organisations. You have to be very, very committed to wanting to unpick what are all the problems and the issues in the way that we currently work. So it's not an easy thing to do, and you have to be wholly committed to go on that journey. Now, it doesn't mean that we sit down with individuals and we create illustrious outcomes and pathways for everybody to travel down. We're not going to achieve incredible results for everyone. There's not some kind of finite point that everybody wants to get to, because actually individuals come to us and we engage with individuals for such a huge variety of reasons. Some people do have a path they want to go down, they want to progress in where they are, maybe they're a stroke victim. They've got a clear path of rehabilitation they have in mind. There is a progress for those people. But some people come to us with situations that are terminal, that they're irreversible, and actually they don't want a pathway for us to force them down. And quite a lot of people, I think, actually come to us because they simply want kindness. There isn't a result in that. And actually, when we're being personalised, we have to realise that our services have to reflect where people want to go while they're in our services. And actually, not everybody wants to go anywhere, somewhere. They don't all want to achieve something. Some people just want to come to a lunch club because they want to come to a lunch club. And it's no more complicated than that. What's important is that we try to unpick that and that we understand what those motivations are for each and every individual. Okay, well. So, as I raise on, that's an example of life. Okay. So, the double helix. So, what structures get us to personalisation? And we're going to talk about this much more in the workshop. More, what structures haven't got us to personalisation, to be honest, because it's not a journey that's worked too well so far. But some of the structures that we need to think about, the three things we need. Clearly, we need excellent, flexible frontline services. Easy thing to say, much harder thing to achieve, and we'll be unpicking that later. The second thing you need, obviously, is if you're going to have empowered individuals, well, people don't turn up empowered. Actually, you need a huge, incredible level of infrastructure to support people to make good decisions, okay? We know a lot of funding is being withdrawn from that area, but how can we as a sector look what those gaps are around information, advice and advocacy and respond to that? And thirdly, what you need actually is really, really good skills in your workforce to support people to be empowered. It's a very subtle thing to do, and it's a very difficult thing to do. If it wasn't difficult, we'd all be doing it much better already. I was going to talk to you a bit about co-production, but as I'm a little bit rushed, I'm just going to move very quickly on to three final points that I want to make. Firstly, the fact that personalisation is the right thing to do. It's independent of government and we should all be doing it, okay? We should be waiting for government to say, here's a target for 2012, let's get on and do it. Actually, it's for us as a voluntary sector to unpick what does it mean for all our organisations and those people we work with. How does it relate to our objects and our mission? And then we need to deliver on it. Secondly, it's about really knowing and creating structures for the fact that all the people we work for are equal to us as professionals and as volunteers, and that's really, really important. And finally, it's about the fact that to empower people is a very difficult thing to do. How do we learn from the way other people work? How do we learn from other charities and other welfare support organisations to improve the quality of the support we provide when we're trying to empower people to understand what their barriers are and actually where do they want to go when they're engaging us. And there's just some of our stuff from NCVO that we have in the presentation. Thank you. Sorry to rush.